Joining us now in the Hyundai Texans Radio studio, Coach DeMeco Ryans. Coach, great to see you. Let's talk a little bit about the game before we move on to Jacksonville here. And these games, when you lose, it's a play or two here or there that could have changed everything. The early turnover, when you look at it at the end, you'd be driving for a potential go-ahead score instead of trying to cut it to one score. How important is it to convey that to the team? These young players, do they understand that in your eyes?
It's a lot of teaching that goes into play. I had to take the guys into the meeting today and just show them, all right, why did we lose the game, right? And show them the miscues that we had on all three phases, right? And the biggest message to our guys is, man, let's get out of our own way. Let's get out of our own way, and then let's fight a fair fight. But right now, we can't fight fair if we continue to, when we make good plays, we hurt ourselves by not doing exactly what we're supposed to do. So all of those are teaching moments. Definitely we want to be able to protect the ball there in that situation with CJ teaching me. We have to make sure we secure it, have to protect them better there defensively, right? Man, sudden change, right? We have to be able to make a stop there in the red zone to force them to kick a field goal. That's a huge turning point in the game. But out of all the miscues that we had, we still had opportunity there, and it's encouraging to see like our offense was able to battle back. Defense was able to get some stops in the second half. Offense was able to put together a couple of drives that it shows you that promise. It shows you that, man, we have what it takes to play winning football. We just have to do it consistently for 4 quarters.
Coach, you kind of stole my thunder in the second half. For the fourth quarter in particular, I think they ran 11 plays. You had 2 3 and outs, and then you had one, I think they got a first down, but then you got them off the field at that point. Is that something you also show your players and say, this is what it could be consistently? And, you had that against Baltimore for a majority of the game. Is that fourth quarter something that you just say, hey, this is something we can build on? Because I know, talking to you, you're a beacon of positivity. Is that something that really helps these guys, that you want to get to them like, it could be this all the time?
I'll show that to them later in the week. But today
it was message.
Yeah, today was the message. But that's something that I'm saving for later in the week just to show them, right, the good things that they did do well. Like It wasn't all bad. We made a lot of great plays, and I'll definitely hit them on that to highlight the positives, because it's all about, positive energy and showing guys the plays that they made.
All right, we have enough to dwell on here, but speaking of positive energy, C.J. Stroud, Coach, not too many times in the history of this franchise has someone been able to throw for 384, and I know you're in a come-from-behind mode, but he put up a lot of numbers in Game 2 of his career as a very young player. What did you see from him Game 1 to Game 2? We talk about improvement. Looks like he took a giant leap forward.
He did. He did take a giant leap forward. I think it all starts with the pre-snap procedure. Like getting the call, getting in and out of the huddle, I thought that was night and day from week 1 to week 2. Major improvement there. And you just see when he was very decisive with where he was going with the football, and also having Nico Collins show up and Robert Woods, like those guys have been consistent. They've been reliable guys he can trust to go to the football with. Tank Dell, like those guys, you can see that chemistry that they're building, that bond, that they have trust within their relationship, and CJ is finding those guys, and they're all working well together. But I'm very pleased with what CJ has done, and I told that to our team today. Is like we see the great things that our young quarterback is doing. There are some great things. He can play the game the right way. He can play winning football. Now everybody around him, like, let's help him. Let's play complementary football, special teams, defense. Let's help the young kid out, and now we can go win football games.
I want to ask this question of former NFL player DeMeco Ryans just as much as head coach DeMeco Ryans. When you have a quarterback, or just any player in general, a young player, and he plays through some pain, he plays through some hurt, what does that mean to everybody else in the locker room? Not only does he play hurt, but he plays at that level while he's banged up. What does that do for CJ's respect in the locker room from the other players, and then obviously from his coaching staff?
Yeah, speaking from the player, right, I think just your respect just goes out of the roof for a guy. You know what he's dealing with a little, shoulder soreness, and he fights through it, right? And he goes out there and puts it on the line for his team on Sunday and didn't complain 1 second about it. like the respect factor is out of the roof. Guys respect him in the locker room. You can't help but respect the guy when you see him, the way he works every day. Like, he's the guy breaking our team down, speaking to the team. Like, he has all those leadership qualities and that it factor that guys gravitate towards him. And as a coaching staff, also is just respect for the guy. You know, man, this kid, he can handle a lot. He can put a lot on his shoulders, and we just have to continue to play well around him.
Not to give away state secrets, Coach, but the way he threw the ball and the ability to do that, how does that affect the game plan going in offensively to the next week or weeks to come? Because you've had difficulty running the football, but you know you can throw it, and I know you need a balance anyway, but how does that play into it?
I think you start to see how much more can you do with it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's, as I tell our guys as coaches, it's our job to put guys in the best position to accentuate what do they do well, right, and put them in those positions to thrive. And you can see that, you know, CJ definitely thrives throwing the ball. And he's going to be an elite passer in this league. He continues to improve and get better, and we have to continue to, you know, play to his strengths if that's the case. But we also, as you said, Marc, we got to be balanced. We have to run it better, and I think we will do a good job running it better. And the better we run it, just the more it's going to help him and what he does best in throwing the football.
Coach, I know the offensive line was not the one that was envisioned at the beginning of the year, but that's football. We've talked about that a bunch. When you went back and looked at the film, how did you think that offensive line looked overall, considering that group's never played together?
Yeah, the offensive line actually, I mean, they took a step in the right direction. It was better this week. Like you said, 5 new guys in there together, working together for the first time. But it was definitely better. It was a step in the right direction. We could still clean up some minor details and techniques, but I think the intent is there. But overall, I like where we're headed and see where we continue to progress with these guys moving forward.
Yeah.
All right, defensively, how do you get better into the next week's game and correct what happened against the Indianapolis Colts? Every game is different. Every week is different. So how do you take it from here, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, defensively, how you correct it is guys just, man, taking some pride in what they do to do their job. And that was my message to our guys is I wish it was something different that we hadn't seen, something we never worked, but guys, just own up, man up, do your job, be where you're supposed to be, and be accountable to your teammates. And that's how you get it fixed. It's nothing magical that's going to happen. It's guys just having the mindset to, man, I'm not going to let my teammate down. I'm going to do my job.
Coach, this might seem like an odd question, but it feels like the more you move up from, you know, Pop Warner to middle school to high school, college, NFL, there's more time spent in the preparation of playing a team, and you get in that preparation mode, and then the fundamentals, well, we got to get ready for this team, so we're not spending as much time on Indy. We're not spending as much time doing some of the fundamental work. How do you kind of look at that as it pertains to your team and keeping kind of the fundamentals still at the forefront of what you do?
Yeah, that's a great question because that's some of the things that we lacked, and that's where football will always come down to.
Yeah.
I was telling them, like, when I go to my son MJ's practice tonight, they're going to be teaching them, hey, tackling, hey, keep your head up, make sure you wrap up. And that's some of the same things that we had miscues on in the game on Sunday. And it's like, it can't be that way, right? We got to hone in, be on our fundamentals when it comes to block protection, tackling, tracking angles to the football. Like, we all have to be on it. And it's something that guys have to practice throughout the week, like, and be deliberate in that approach. Like, every rep you get in practice, are you deliberately training your fundamentals?
This might sound like a weird question. How much different? We know it's different to face Minshew as opposed to Richardson, but Minshew's there with the quick passing game. The ball was coming out so fast, it's hard to get back there to go get him. He's getting the ball out quickly, and they were having some success early before you really caught up with it in the second half.
Yeah, it was actually all the same offense that Anthony ran, Minshew, Shane. It didn't change the offense. It was some miscue. We wanted to play tighter coverage, and the coverage, we let some things get out where we weren't as tight as we should have been. A couple mistakes here and there that we allow guys to be open and just showing the defense that we're all on it. The back seven, or if they're on it and where they're supposed to be, now the defensive line has an opportunity to affect the game. But if we're not and we're allowing easy passes to be open when we should be on them, now the D-line is stifled from being able to affect the quarterback.
Coach, I've always wondered this. You having played linebacker position, there were so many things that you obviously learned to do, but there were so many things that were instinctive to you. Yeah. So when you have players that aren't you and you're trying to coach them through and you're seeing some of the things that they're not, how difficult can that be to kind of deal with that position? Because that was a position that you played at an extremely high level.
Yeah, you just keep teaching. That's for me. You just keep teaching guys, and everybody learns different. Everybody sees things different. You just keep teaching, right, and just ask guys to be the best that they can be. Try not to bring up, what I did or how I did it, but it's a matter of just what do guys do well, and try to put them in those positions, and as best we can as coaches, like put guys in position to make plays, and then ultimately it does. It comes up to it's a players' league. It's about players, stepping up and making plays. So if you are in position, are you making the plays?
We haven't had a chance to talk to you on this show since you added the 3 additional captains, which is Steven Nelson, Will Anderson, and Robert Woods. What about adding those extra 3, Coach?
Yeah, adding those 3 was something that was important to me. All these guys, they received votes from their teammates, and I went with the top 4 guys initially to start. And as I just went throughout the week, it was just important to me to make sure I show guys what does it look like, right? Mm-hmm. What does that captainhood look like? And that's the consistency, the work ethic, and it's guys that show up each and every day. And I couldn't think of 3 guys more who embody what I see in a captain, and guys are on our team that other guys should look up to as leaders, and that's Robert, right? That's Steven, and that's Will. Those 3 guys, I can say from day one, like they've been as consistent as ever in their job, and everything that they're doing, their approach is not all about what those guys say, because those are probably 3 quiet guys, but it's not in what they say, but it's what they do every single day. They show up, they're on it every single day, and that's what I see as a captain and guys you should follow.
Have you talked to Steven Nelson much about farming? Because he does have a farm. Has that ever come up in your private conversations with him? Just share with us if you could.
It has not come up in our conversations. But
that shows leadership, though, if you can handle the animals.
Steven stands up there and starts talking about tilling the soil and everything.
Good metaphors here.
Teach our young guys something.
Sowing the seeds.
I guess you can find something.
Seeds.
In Jacksonville, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of farms in Jacksonville. Going back to a site where you've played a few times. See, look at that segue. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much you had a chance to dive into Jacksonville film, Coach, but your initial thoughts about going and facing Trevor Lawrence and the guys in Jacksonville.
I'm excited. Just the next opportunity for us. Just to get this bad taste out of our mouth. Like, haven't, as of right now, I haven't studied them much. Saw a little bit of them last week because they, faced the Colts. So crossover film, watched some. I saw their defense, and they have a really talented defense. All 11 guys play really well. Very good coach, and Mike Caldwell's leading that team, and Trevor Lawrence and that offense. They've gotten better. They improved last year. You saw that improvement. Did a really good job finishing the season, and now stepping into this season. I know they have some really talented playmakers at the receiver position. The back is pretty good. Etienne's pretty good player. So we have our hands full, and man, I'm excited to. Let's get going again. Start preparing for our next opponent and seeing us make the corrections that we need to make to go play good football.
Do you have a memorable moment about going to Jacksonville? Like the 2011 game when you guys had 7 sacks?
Wow. Jacksonville was always a fun place. I always felt like I played well in Jacksonville, so hopefully I can coach well in Jacksonville and come out.
I didn't want to assume that, but I was thinking, you've had some pretty good moments. Now there have been a couple of bad ones too.
Well, not personally, though.
No, yeah, right.
All right, Coach, we have to ask you about Nico Collins because he's put up some really big numbers, made some really big plays, and I know it's only through 2 games, but what a start for him as he begins the 3rd year of his career.
And it's fun to see Nico go out and do what he's doing on Sundays. And I always say this, man, it's guys who are not surprising me or guys who did it in camp. And that's one guy I could talk about all day from training camp, like all the plays he made in camp. But just Nico, just credit to him and just his mindset. Like, there were some things, like when he caught the ball against the Ravens where we asked him to improve on just to finish. And he comes back This past week versus the Colts, he catches the ball. You can see, right, it's different. His mindset is go score, go score, go score. It was cool to see him get the touchdown, even though I think that ball was going to Tank. But it was cool to see him snag Tank's pass away.
We had a
from
debate
him.
about that this morning. It was going to Nico all the way.
But it's fun to see him have his best game of his career. It was fun to see him and just – how is he going to continue to improve and build off of what he's done? Man, it's encouraging.
Coach, I know it happened late in a game that didn't go well for you, but John Mechie gets his first reception as NFL player. He plays in his first NFL game, and it's almost hard to even put into words what that guy has been through to get back on the field. Was there an opportunity for you to kind of take a second and watch him make that catch and feel good for John and knowing John wants more, but just to have that first step to get that first catch? What was that moment kind of like for you and then for him?
Yeah, credit to John, man. All the work that he's put in, man, proud of him.
Yeah.
Proud of him, proud moment for him. I mean, he's dealt with way more than any of us have dealt with, and to see him, bounce back and to go play in his first NFL football game and to make a catch, what an awesome moment for him. I couldn't be more proud of John. And just, I know that's his first game back, but John has that mindset to where I don't want to be just an average receiver back. I want to be the best receiver, in the NFL. So it's just encouraging to see he has the mindset to continue to get better. And, I mean, he'll do better with the more opportunities that he get, but I'm very happy for John.
One more receiver to ask you about, and I know he's one of the captains. We just talked about them as a group, but Robert Woods, Coach, and the fact that he's been through so much in his career in different organizations and situations, and we were asking him about playing with a young quarterback, which he's done a few times. What does he add to your team, not just on the field where he's played very well for you, but also in the locker room?
Yeah, you talk about if you want a pro, right? You go talk to Robert Woods. You watch the way he works, man, Robert is the best example I have of what does a professional NFL player look like. What's his approach to each day? And that's Robert. That's why it's important for him to be a captain for us, because he doesn't change. It's Wednesday practice, Thursday, Friday, he's going hard as ever. He doesn't change. And you feel the young quarterback, he sees that, and he feels like, oh, I can trust Robert that he's always going to be a great outlet for me, so I can go to him in any situation. So it's him. Robert has been as consistent as ever as he's been from OTAs to training camp throughout these first two games. He's consistent in his approach. He's a great leader in that regard, and I'm, very happy to have him on our team.
Coach, I'm going to ask you something maybe a little weird, but the identity of your team and what you want it to be versus what it maybe develops into. And I ask this because I know a long time ago when I coached, I had a team I thought, we're going to throw the ball around, and then we found out, man, we can't do that, but we can run the ball really, really well, and now we're more physical, we can do some things, and that kind of became the identity of our program. How do you kind of look at the identity? We know what you want your team to be. You feel like you're moving in that direction, or do you feel like, you know what, maybe that identity of the team is not going to quite be what I thought it was?
Yeah, I think each team, after you call it 3 to 4 weeks, you kind of fall into, okay, who you're going to be.
Right.
Because it has to morph into mainly okay, what do our players do well? I have an idea of how I want it to look, but if you don't have the players per se to have it look that way,
right.
You have to kind of play to their strengths, and it's all about just going out competing and trying to win games. So whatever those players do well, you kind of have to morph, right? You don't change your philosophy of what you're about, but just your style and how you go about getting there, you have to be flexible in that regard.
Yeah.
Amegy Bank Ask Coach question of the week. All right, Coach, you got here 17 years ago as a player, Houston, and you've worked other places, but you've always had the connections here. So how has Houston changed, in your opinion, over the time when you first got here in 2006?
Ooh,
what would you say about the evolution of this city? Is it pretty much the same? Has it changed? We've added a lot of people here during that time.
That was you stealing more people there. It's it's even more traffic now than before.
Yes.
Definitely a lot more people, but you feel the diversity here in Houston is just a true melting pot of all different cultures and people coming together, and that's the world, and that's why I see you get a sense of that here in Houston, and it's always been I love Houston, love the city, and love everything that the city is about. That it's just the diversity of the people. I think that's changed, a lot since I've been here, but it's just a fun city. Sports town, that hasn't changed. People are still very fired up and passionate about their sports, about the teams around the city, and you feel that excitement, right, from everyone. No matter where you go, you feel the excitement. Everybody loves sports, loves football, so it's fun to be back in the South where football is king.
17 years ago is not that long ago, Coach.
Yeah, not that
blink of an
long.
eye, not that long
It's
ago.
last
All right,
Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly.
Coach, thanks a lot. Good luck against Jacksonville.
Thank you, guys.